Hello, my beautiful gente, pues more, pues bien. What is this? Um,
Great
uh,
start.
you know, Grand Rising, lovely ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to be back in your essence, in your presence. And we are
Hmm.
bringing you here today on another beautiful adventure alongside Silver Blue. I am your host, BluJey Baby, and I'm here with,
Silvia, your other host, by the way.
of course, gonna be honest with you guys. It's gonna be a nice, lovely episode three of these spiritual quotes, and we're just gonna get into it and figure out how we feel about these lovely opinions that others in the world have. What do you think, young lovely Sylvia?
Yes, I feel like these quotes are helping us flow and kind of like express everything that is going on. So I think it's a good idea to keep going with them. I'm excited to see what happened today, what conclusions we get to.
Absolutely, yes, a pretty beautiful journey. Like going through these quotes and figuring out how much we're learning in life without even having like noticed. So yeah, I'm glad that we've adopted this segment. And if you guys are enjoying it, make sure to, even send in some quotes or ask some questions so that we can go over them in our future upcoming episodes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
awesome sauce.
Yes.
Let's get right into it then. What do
Let's
you
get
say?
into it. Let's go for it.
Let's go. All right. Maybe we can start off with a bang. What you think? Something soft or something heavier?
I mean, let's start a lo grande.
A little grande? Okay. So, you ready? This is by Krishna Dharma on X. Oh, and she posted this at 2:22 p.m.
Ooh, okay.
You feel me?
Let's see.
We know what those numbers are. All right. Krishna Dharma says, the mind can make a heaven of hell and a hell of heaven.
That's it?
That's it.
Yeah,
Now,
indeed.
indeed, indeed. Anything you feel about this? I guess it's not too big of a bang, but it also definitely can be.
Well, it can be if
Yeah,
you
for
if we
sure.
get in deep into it.
If you
Um,
dissect, yeah,
hmm Definitely. Like it's all about what's inside your mind. You can be your best friend or your worst enemy. It's just
absolutely.
up to you who you are, to yourself, to others, to your reality. So if we base from the concept that we create our reality, everything that we believe is what is gonna represent, like what's gonna happen in our lives, right? So like life is just a mirror of what's inside. So whatever
Mm,
is inside, we'll see it outside. Um,
mm.
and
Your
yeah, I
inner
think
world reflects your outer world. Something
definitely,
like that, yeah.
yeah, and just being your best friend is super important. And I love, well, you sent me a video the other day, and one of the quotes that it just came to my mind is like, would you date yourself?
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, would you date yourself? Otherwise, you have a problem, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, you attract the people that you are. So, whoever you want to attract in your life, not only people, but also the reality you want to attract, you need to start first being it. What
Mm,
do you feel?
absolutely. I feel the same, first of all. That's beautiful. Like, I'm glad you watched the video. I told you that shit was good, wasn't it?
It was.
But
We leave it in the comments because people are probably now like, what video? What video?
yeah. So definitely, it's funny because I was just talking to my little sister about this yesterday, and it's crazy that I came across it today. But I asked her, and I was like, I can't even remember how we got to this conversation, but we started talking about like heaven and hell and what that means. She was like, I think, hell is a place you go to if you've done bad things all your life. And I don't want to go there. I don't want to burn in hell and be afraid of the devil after. And I was like, so hell is something you experience after you die. She's like, yeah, I think, I think you could be burning forever if you've done bad things. And I was like, Joy, I think heaven and hell is something that you experience while you're alive.
Hmm.
I think it's something that we experience on earth. And before I could say any more, she was like, you just saved my entire life. You just changed my entire perspective in a few words. And I was like, really? She was like, yes. Like, I feel so much better in life now. So I further went into explanation and I was like, yeah, I think what happens is, for example, people may do something that they're guilty of and it may eat them alive, knowing that they can't share it with someone or they feel guilty and it's just like on the inside you're beating yourself up about it. And that's experiencing some form of hell, right?
Hmm.
Low vibrations, feelings of doubt or stress or anxiety or just, holding on to a secret you don't want to keep or something like that.
Hmm.
Another thing could be like, if you're in a constant state of depression and you go about life feeling all the negative things, rarely ever, if ever, feeling anything positive, that's another example of what hell on earth may feel like.
Hmm.
Whereas you also have heaven, where you can experience pure bliss, whether that's through meditation for plenty of years or as through simply having a blissful day, full day of happiness, joy, peace, living in the
Hmm.
present moment, and just being full of gratitude in life. That may be another example of what it feels like to experience heaven, so I
Hmm.
kind of gave her, I didn't go super, super deep. I didn't want to explode her brain. but, but I was just like, I feel like these are states of consciousness, heaven and hell, that you can experience while you're still alive and breathing. So that's kind of my take on, um, yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
much saying like your inner world is your outer world. The mind can make of heaven and hell. We have talked about the strong powers of the mind before, I believe. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
your mind is connected to your emotions, how you feel, what you think, what you see, how you perceive reality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, yeah, I definitely feel like what you perceive to be heaven and hell or whatever, it could ultimately be a choice, especially if you've grown, I don't want to say grown past religion, but like, because everyone has their different ways of perceiving life. Nothing's wrong or right, but
Yeah, and it's I think many religions can be kind of like a metaphor, right? So like depending
mhm,
how you process it, it can have this message and it can help you understand certain things, right? So like for
yeah,
many people, the Bible, for example, have all these metaphors that they feel like they can apply in their daily life, right? So
hmm,
I think sometimes it can be useful to understand concepts that other ways are difficult to understand. So I
absolutely,
guess it just depends how you face it or from what perspective you see it. But yeah, I feel like if you see heaven or hell from the like literal meaning of like once you die you just burn forever. Um,
yeah.
yeah, that's a bit extreme. It sounds
It's
a bit
extreme.
extreme
It,
to me.
like, yeah, the way it's portrayed in life, yeah, like, it sounds extreme to keep people from doing XYZ or to keep people doing XYZ, so
Mm-hmm.
like, I feel like, just my opinion, I have come from a religious background, but like the way I see things is very different. I don't see us dying in the afterlife being something, where you suffer. I know in another religion, I think maybe like I guess not religion, but Greek mythology has it that the underworld or the afterlife is the underworld or Tartarus, which is a place of endless suffering. But I don't think that's what the next life holds, if there is one. You know what I mean?
And as
Like,
we said, is whatever you believe. I
yeah,
believe that if you believe that, that's true. That's gonna be
right,
true. Is whatever you create. And I feel like something really, when you were talking about this, I think something that is really related with this is the what we've talked about before about the power of attention. Where is your attention? Where is your focus? If your focus is in all the bad things, all the things that you don't want, all the horrible things that are happening in the world, you're making hell in this life, right? You're making your
yeah,
life like hell if your focus are on all the good things that are happening and all that you're grateful for, in all that you're creating and you want to create, then your focus is on heaven, right? You can
hmm,
create a heaven out of your life just by deciding. Is again, it's a choice. Where is your focus? Where is your attention? What do you choose to put your attention to?
absolutely. And I mean, again, I feel like it goes all the way back to the mind itself. I feel like if you, let me think, you got the conscious and the subconscious mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder which piece of the mind is more connected to the spirit and the soul. I mean, I
Subconscious for
automatically,
sure.
yeah, actually, yeah, that's what I automatically want to say, right? And so that would mean the conscious mind is more overrun by the ego or the mind, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So if you were to take away the ego part and all you have is pure spirit, I feel like that this is where the mind can create as like a strong definition here. Like
Mm-hmm.
our subconscious mind is constantly it's run by beliefs that we've picked up over the years and habits and stuff that we don't even think about at all, right? I feel like whatever you feed that, ooh, what the hell am I trying to say? It's so deep. Oh, it's so deep.
It's in the subconscious.
Ah,
it's getting
yeah,
it's
yeah,
flowing to
yeah.
the conscious right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have to dig for that.
We're waiting for the download.
And we're downloading shit. um, pretty much, yeah. I feel like you're kind of training your subconscious through life without even realizing it, and that is, in a sense, slowly over time creating your heaven or your hell.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And maybe by the
Definitely.
time you die, that's when the subconscious fully takes over. So whatever you've believed in that amount of time is what will be translated over. I don't know.
I don't
I
know what
can,
happens once we die.
yeah, I don't know. I'm getting too far with this shit.
Yes. But coming back to the quote, yes,
Right.
indeed. You can decide to make a hell or a heaven out of your life just by where your where your mind is or what you're doing with your mind.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can, yeah. I mean, almost choose. Actually, if you're conscious, I feel like you can choose what heaven and hell becomes to and for you. So,
Definitely, that's another part.
yeah.
That's another part. Like, what is heaven and what is hell? Because there can be challenges, but it's up to
Definitely.
you if you want to see them as hell, as something horrible that happened to you, or as heaven, as a gift that life gave you to keep evolving, learning as a person. Yesterday, in Kundalini Yoga, the teacher said something that I was like, wow, because it was like this challenging posture. And I guess all of probably she saw all of us suffering. And she was like, just remember that your spirit is looking for challenges every day to make the most of you, to learn, to like keep growing, keep evolving. And I was like, wow.
That is nice. I like that shit.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's up to you how you want to see it.
Absolutely. Ooh, I feel like there's so much to actually speak on this, but we'll probably save that for another episode because that's a deep rabbit hole, I feel like. Oh, okay. How do you feel about that one? You like that quote to start it off?
Yeah, it was a good way to start.
Absolutely. Okay. I have another tweet and a quote on the tweet.
Okay.
So we could break this up into two. Um, from Real Enlightenment, a lot of people are obsessed with ascending, but have not yet mastered grounding. Did we do this one?
I think we did this.
Fuck. Okay. I remember us talking about it, but I don't think it was on the podcast. Was it?
Yeah, it's what I can't remember. No, I think like
I
where
don't
if
know.
not
Did
the
we?
podcast?
We just talked. I think we just mentioned it out loud, and we're like, "Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, we should talk
Really?
about it." And then
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
did we? I don't think we went through it.
Okay,
And
let's.
then ascending versus grounding, which one is better? That's the
Mm-mm.
quote. I don't know if we. I don't think we talked about it yet.
Okay. I know we've talked about this, but I don't know if in the podcast or not.
Yeah,
But um,
let's go for it.
let's go for
Repeated
it.
information, if we're repeating it, sometimes it takes
It
revisiting a
helps.
topic. Yeah.
Yeah, repetition is the. How is that sentence? La repetición es. I forgot.
I don't
La
know.
clave. Well, it's basically like it's very important repetition to master something. So
Okay, let's go for it then. So which one do you want to answer first? Ascending or grounding, which is better? Or do you want to talk about, hold on, let me see what the, oh yeah. A lot of people are obsessed with ascending, but have not yet mastered grounding. Let's talk about that first before we decide which is better. What's the difference between ascending and grounding?
Cri cri.
Kri kri, what is that?
It's like the oh my gosh. Cri cri is what we say in Spanish when nobody answers. It's like you can only hear the.
Cricket. Yeah. That's funny as shit. Nah.
Okay. Anyways.
This is funny, bro. Y'all are too dope.
Hi. Okay, let me try to focus because this is deep.
It is. Ascending and grounding,
So I'm like thinking about the different chakras, right? The root chakra and all the way to the corona chakra, and how the root chakra connects with the earth and the it's more about the human experience, right? And the upper chakras are more about the spirit and yeah, kind of like this spiritual world.
Yeah.
So I feel like it has to be a balance between all of them, right? Like in the chakras, the people who know about chakras explain that you need to balance your lower chakras in order to be able to go all the way to your upper chakras, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to be rooted.
Hmm.
It's important to feel connected, to be balanced in your life, in your human life, in order to be able to connect with the spiritual part, right? So
Absolutely.
from that, I feel like it's a balance, and I would say first is about grounding, because only when you ground you can access the other levels.
That is very nice. I'm glad that you brought the chakras in. That was a beautiful demonstration, my dear. Yeah,
Thank you, darling.
of course.
Mm.
I feel like I've definitely kind of gotten the lines maybe blurred at different points in my life on whether or not I was grounding or ascending, like which one it was, which phase. But like when I look back at it, um, I believe, in the very beginning of my spiritual awakening, trying to find ways to ascend through the grounding process, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Can you
yeah,
explain?
yeah, I was thinking of like a way to put that together. So like when I first learned about the energy centers in our body, which are the chakras, I have talked about this piece before. But I would wear things like red and eat red. So like tomatoes, strawberries, natural red juices and stuff like that. Red bandana, not for gang association or anything like that, but to feel grounded, rooted when I felt, weak or insecure or whatever. Um, and through that, I was meditating on the color, I was meditating on the chakra, and I was trying to feel the deepest essence. Like I remember I would go out to the beach, and because I knew the root chakra was like at the base of my spine, I would sit down, planted in like the sand, and imagine like being connected to the earth.
Hmm.
And through that, I used to try to visualize myself like receiving and downloading knowledge that the earth has accumulated over centuries of time. You know what I mean? I was trying to connect to something deeper while kind of like using that as like a compass to guide me through the grounding process. And so,
Mm-hmm.
like, in a way, I was trying to ascend my levels of understanding, like, yeah, through healing I tried to, so first of all, I tried to heal like each chakra, and that was kind of like going up levels, which felt like ascension, but I was taking my time on each one. So like for maybe a week, I would wear red and stuff and drink red to focus on the root chakra. Next was the sacral, and that's yellow. So I'd start eating bananas, wearing yellow, doing things out of creativity, and like that was grounding myself in that chakra, but at the same time elevating my habits and standards and things like that. So it kind of felt like hand in hand to me. It didn't feel as much of a difference. Um, I think later on though, after I got all the way up to the crown chakra, things were very different. I didn't
In
feel
which way?
like I didn't feel like I was trying to do things to build habits that kept me grounded per se. Like I was more deep into meditation, deep into feeling like feelings of euphoria. And I would do that by, all of the grounding habits I'd accumulated, like making music, going out and expressing myself. It all just
Mm.
flowed pretty naturally at this point to where it
Mm-hmm.
didn't feel like it was like, okay, yeah, I have
Mm-hmm.
to build the habits and get strong in them. No, like now it just flowed out. That is what
Mm.
ascension felt like. Waking up every day, walking outside blissfully, just like, ah, oh, The sun is hitting me beautifully. The wind is right. Life is good. I'm in flow motion, flow momentum, and fucking everything is just spectacular without even having to try.
But I love what you said about to get to that point, you needed to first go through the habits that made you root, and once
Hmm.
those were like automatic, then you
Yeah,
could like keep going, right? Like it's like once you adopt the habit, yes, it's true. You don't need to think about it; it just happens naturally, right? You
right, right.
automate that process. So I feel that's kind of what happened. Like once you that was like just happening without you even thinking. That was because it was in the unconscious already. Then you were able to like go deeper
Yeah,
and
definitely.
higher.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ascending just became second nature pretty much. But
Mm-hmm.
I first had to ground myself in uh, building the habits it would take to ascend, unconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
And so to say honestly, like, it's hard to say which is better. They go hand in hand. Like, when I felt like I was ascending, unconsciously and it just was happening naturally, it kind of made me lose I won't even say lose, but like dejar, the ability, let go of the ability to build these new habits and systems because they just started to, flow. But
To fly in the universe.
yeah, but like building it there's like I don't know, it's a beautiful process to the grounding process.
And when you say so, like what it sounds like is like you created this grounding habits, and then you started
Yeah,
like going
slowly.
ascending, and like I know there was a time when you went down again. Would you say it was because you stopped doing the grounding that at some point you kind of fell again?
Exactly. That's pretty much what I was trying to like say, actually. Like you kind of got like I kind of got lazy with it. Not lazy, but I stopped trying to find ways to ground myself because I felt like I had already ascended, and that wasn't the case. I was
Mm.
still in ascension,
I
but I
think we always
stopped.
are. We're
Yeah,
always
yeah,
in the process of.
true. But it stopped feeling like that because I stopped grounding myself, I guess.
Mm.
You
Wow.
know, yeah. So I feel like I can understand why the question says or the prompt says that some people are obsessed with ascension and not focused enough on grounding.
Grounding.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel that that can be probably well first I think it's beautiful kind of like how we put it of like um you know you start ascending, but if you don't keep grounding yourself at some point you just fall back. And I feel that happens to many people. Like I think I would almost say all of us, right? At some point,
Hmm.
we feel like things are going great, and then we just kind of like keep like stop doing all the things that were making us
That were
feel
making
great,
it
and
good.
then we start
Yeah.
going down again, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I feel like that's interesting to see it like that, to understand that you need to just keep improving, keep getting better every day because it's like a muscle. Like you just need to
Definitely.
keep going, otherwise at some point you're just gonna go down, even though you felt like you understood, you felt like you got this. If you don't keep practicing, the muscle is just gonna go weak again.
Exactly. You have to keep strengthening the muscle. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because I feel like you could lose momentum and you could lose sight of what you've been working for. Uh, it's almost like, say, for example, you work your ass off in a team to become team captain, right? You have all of this, ambition and energy and drive and motivation to get to the top spot. Then once you get there, it's like, ah, well, I'm cooling now. Yeah, I'm chilling. I don't need to fight as hard as I used to. And then people
Mm,
started to lose that same respect because they're like, well, what happened? You were hungry as hell. I remember all of that. You know that. Where did it
mm,
go? You're comfortable now, so there's not the same. I've seen that happen before.
mm-hmm.
But I guess I've also seen it happen in myself.
Yeah, I think it happens to everybody, and it's interesting
Yeah.
to see it like that, just to understand that it is a balance between grounding and ascending. And
Hmm.
um, I think, yeah, I think it also help. Like many people feel frustrated because they want to connect with the spiritual world, and they feel like they don't have that connection, and feel like, or they had it at some point and they lost it. They, they keep obsessing about, trying to connect with this higher thing. But I think that's where the quote comes from. But then because of that, they forget that first they need to ground.
Hmm.
They need
You
to like
know, oof.
understand and be good, be okay, be happy with their human life experience in order to like be able to access the spiritual world.
Hell yeah. It reminds me, when we were in Palomino, uh,
Mm.
after our time in the sanctuary of light,
Mm.
like I felt like I was searching for that ascension, that feeling of ascension, and I'm like, man, how do I get back to this? But I was not paying attention to the fact that a whole new version of me was in that present moment, and that I had
Mm.
not gone through a grounding process leading up to that moment. I was just there, like, man, something's missing. Like, uh, I want to feel that connectedness and that bliss and that power that I felt, that magic. Where did it go? And
Mm-hmm.
I completely ignored that, everything leading up to those days when I felt all of that energy. I had been grounding myself and preparing myself, molding and shaping myself to be receptible
Mm-hmm.
to all of the magic that came afterwards. I hadn't
Mm-hmm.
done anything at that point. I hadn't, you know, been grounding my chakras, wearing certain colors or anything like that, or fasting or meditating. Um, I think I may have like started to, but not long enough for me to reach that same level of ascension that I felt like I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
achieve and embody.
Yeah, I feel like it's the same as, you wanna get fit, you start going to the gym, and first a few months you're super motivated, you get really fit, then kind of like, you forget about it or whatever. Then you're like, okay, I want to get fit again, and then you go one day to the gym and you're like, why I why I'm not fit. And you kind of forget, like, you remember your body from last time, but you kind of forgot that it took like months to get to that point, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a almost a yin yang situation. Like you can't have one without the other, I feel like. And if you can, then it's probably a shortcut, which ultimately ends in the same stagnant motion of not really getting the process down, not getting the real benefits from actually taking time to ground yourself before you get to ascension. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it was beautiful the way we understood the quote, or like,
Hell yeah, high five. Yeah, that's dope. Okay,
okay,
I
let's do the
feel like
last
we,
one.
yeah, yeah, I feel like we did good on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see. There was a super cool one. All right, it's really the first part of this quote that I want to talk about. Um, but I'll read the
Okay.
whole thing. All right, so symbolism is the language of the psyche. Include them in your stories to drive your message straight to your reader's subconscious mind. Um, I don't know if this was a writer. Her name is, let's see, Awaken My Story on Twitter, or X as they call it now. Stupid as shit, but whatever. Symbolism is the language of the psyche. I like that piece, and I also want to talk about straight to your subconscious mind. Um, so
Go for it.
the first thing that I want to mention is what we just actually pointed out in the beginning of this episode. I said, "Oh wow, this was posted at 2:22
Tutu.
p.m." Now, why is that something that I immediately was able to catch and we were both able to identify as, oh, like, you know what I mean? Why? I feel like, throughout the spiritual journey, you start to learn things about synchronization or synchronicities and symbols having some kind of meaning, as if the divine is trying to send a message to you for you to understand whatever it is that you need in order to make decisions or move a certain way in life, right? When I see 11s or 111 or 1111, for example, anytime I see these numbers pop out, it's always in some very specific moment, exactly when I needed to see it in order to decide what I was going to do in a specific moment. Most times for me, it's a choice to make on some kind of masterful decision. Like, I guess I could use an example. Like, I remember being at the movie theaters and I was going to see Black Panther with some very powerful people. These people had taken pictures for Barack Obama, hosted these big events for the mayor, and like they were huge, huge people, rich as hell. And before we saw the movie,
That's
I
the kind of
remember
people
like,
you hang out with?
oh yeah, you know.
Okay.
Nah, yeah, yeah. When I was in America, hung around a completely different crowd. But actually, I didn't even pay for this movie. They paid for me and my family to go. Um, Anywho, I picked up my phone and I saw 11:11, and I was like, in the moment, I had been thinking like, this is a chance to like make a mark or plant a seed that these people are gonna remember forever. Um, we were going to see Black Panther. It's like, for my culture, it's like, seeing a black superhero and the way they portrayed the movie and everything has been like huge to our community. So I was like, well, shit, I'm a superhero. I need them to remember that before we leave. So that's when I was looking at, I picked up my phone and it was 11:11. So it was like a confirmation that I needed to make something beautiful happen. So after we watched the
Okay.
movie, right? Everybody's energy was high. They're like, wow, yeah, that was super great. Everybody's walking out clapping and stuff. So I heard some music playing and I was like, oh yeah, it's my time. And so like in the movie, it's like, Wakanda, whatever, like, or they would say like, you want back? And like do this shit. So I walked out of the theater and I was like, I can't remember what I said, but I said something, hit it, did a pose, and just backflipped in front of everybody and landed in a pose like a superhero pose. And everybody started laughing and clapping, and they were like, "That was amazing! You're a real superhero, aren't you?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" But they remembered that for a long time. I think somebody was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have to get you out to the premiere of Black Adam."
Nah.
Um,
So you can flip again.
yeah, that was it, and I'm telling you, like that was when I saw 11:11, I pictured things like that, like new opportunities opening that would just be fun or presented to me because I was doing something fun for me, like letting my inner
Mm.
child be itself. So like when they said like we're gonna have you at the premiere, I was like, what the
Like, wow, yeah,
like how did it just happen like that?
that's
Um,
crazy.
yeah, like anyway, symbolism. I saw it, I reacted, I knew what it meant to me in that moment, and I followed it, and then another opportunity opened up. So I do feel like it's the language of the psyche or the intuitive whisper. Anytime you see a symbol in something, even if it's not a
Mm-hmm.
number, it could be something else. It could be words that you hear constantly repeating.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Whatever makes sense to you.
right. Or whatever makes sense to your subconscious mind that you're not even aware of. So
True.
yeah, that's how I feel.
Definitely, like people need stories. The way we understand life is through stories,
Hmm.
and stories come together with symbols. It's just part of it. I feel like we go even deeper. Life
Yeah,
itself is a whole symbol,
a whole symbol, a whole metaphor.
a whole metaphor, a whole way to like understand bigger messages and bigger concepts.
Absolutely.
So it's just the way we have to process life, and that's through stories. That's why we as humans are so drawn to stories, because it's just the way we understand life.
Mm, definitely.
So so yes, definitely symbols are like basic, I feel. And I feel like that's why I was mentioning, like, for some people the Bible, it's a metaphor, or like symbols that help them understand certain concepts. And the
Hmm.
more abstract the concepts, the more it helps, I believe, to put it into stories, to put it into symbols, so we can actually understand what that is.
Certainly. Certainly. Yeah, like I could use a Bible story that has symbolism in it that I've, you know, referred to plenty of times in my life. Um, for example, Samson and Delilah. Samson was like the strongest warrior, the strongest man anyone had ever seen. Unmatched strength, and he had super long hair. Um, I'd always wanted to be a super strong guy. Like after reading that story, and
With very long hair.
yeah, definitely. I mean, as you can see, I've been growing it up. uh, Pretty much to like not go through the whole Bible story. He let a woman into his life who was part of the enemy apparently, and she asked to know the secret to his strength. First, he lied to her, and like she tried to test it by taking that thing away that he said it was. She asked again and said, "Why did you lie to me?" Blah blah blah. She did the other thing, and pretty much he gave her the truth
You
and said
could
the
be,
strength is.
you could be a priest.
No.
No, I'm just joking. The
Oh,
way you're telling it, it's just funny.
yeah, this is
Not a cool priest and blah blah blah,
a
and
cool
then
and blah
basically,
blah blah, and basically, don't lose your power to a woman because blah blah blah. That shit would be crazy.
no, finish. I was enjoying it.
But yeah, so pretty much he revealed where his strength lied and said that it was in his hair. And she cut his hair one night
Ooh.
deceitfully for the enemy. He lost all his power, all his
Mm-hmm.
strength, and the enemy came in and started to beat and attack him. Uh, they gouged out his eyes, hung him up.
And she was the one who cut his hair.
And yeah, she was the one who cut his hair off. Like she asked the secret because she was like a spy, pretty much, sent to seduce the strongest man alive. And the enemy told her to find his strength and take it from him. And so she lured him in with a sexy body and blah blah blah. They had they had sexy time, and then when he was asleep, she cut his hair off, and he lost all his strength. And then the enemy came in, attacked him, and it wasn't until the end, right when he was about to die. He was already blind. It stabbed his eyes out. He was weak. He called on strength from God, and God gave it to him. And he used the last bit of his strength to kill everybody. Like, he pretty much like pushed the pillars down, and the whole city collapsed on top of him and his enemies. And that was the end of Samson.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But the metaphors I saw in that, the symbolism is, for example, the strength that locks have. I've been growing my hair out, and honestly, I've never felt more powerful. My long hair, I feel like,
Don't say that,
holds.
because then your enemies are gonna go and cut your hair.
My enemies can't touch me.
Unless they seduce you.
Ah. See, that's why I watch out for that. See, symbolism. I'm very weary. You know me. That's exactly what it is. I try to keep myself poised. And if I do get seduced, I'm like, oh, okay. What's your angle? Do you actually like me, or what's good? I'm just playing.
Or are you part of the enemy?
Are you part of the enemy? Are you a Russian spy? What's the deal?
What's
But yeah,
so what's the lesson?
the lesson is, like, I use that story in terms of, like, it's kind of the basis of why I've left certain relationships. I remember I was just growing my locks out, and this girl told me that, she was like, you look so much better when your hair is short, like, you should cut it. And I was like, that's a red flag.
That
I was like, why are you trying to change my appearance? Because she really got more serious about it later on. I was like, I think you should go back. And I was like, no, I like my hair the way it is. It's powerful, it's strong. It's what makes me, more attractive or more knowledgeable or whatever beliefs I had. But I didn't take it too serious until I started to see other things line up. And I was like, yeah, my strength is being tested, and I don't like it. And I ended up leaving because I prioritized myself, and, well, that sounds bad.
I understand.
But you
This is
get
a
it.
red line.
No, it was a red flag for other reasons. I'm too tired to go over it. But I use symbolism to gauge situations in life, along with my intuition, and it helped me to move forward in certain situations.
That's beautiful. That was a beautiful story, and I think we need some time to reflect on that story.
Definitely, yeah. So, you can go ahead and give them the honors, dear.
Okay, well, thank you guys for listening, for coming all the way here with us. Hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed making it, and see you guys in the next episode. We love you guys.
Love you guys. Dulcecito.